Hi guys, I'm so glad that you could join me this morning. I hope you've been able to join me for all of these lives. This is now the 7th in our series of lives for Natural Health and Wellness Week here on my Instagram. And I just, by the way, the last thing I grabbed before I hit the live button was earrings, because I had to put on earrings because, well, if you watch the first one, you know. It's pretty funny around here. You know that we're going somewhere or something's up if Mom puts earrings on. Like, that's my way of getting fancy. So I wanted to be fancy for you guys. Anyway, today in our last one of this series, we are talking about 2 ways that we can improve our gut health. If you haven't caught all of them, it might be worth going back, taking some time to go through them. In fact, I'm still working on it. There's been some snafus. But I'm going to put all of these live videos as a regular video over on YouTube. So I'm going to have a playlist over there where you can go and watch through them and catch any that you missed. So be watching for that. Here on my Instagram, I'll share with you guys how you can access it once it's all up there and ready. Also, I will send an email out to everyone who's on my email list to let you guys know when that resource is available. If you're not on my email list, I'd love to have you. Just comment wellness and that will cover a whole lot of things, but don't comment till the video is over. I learned that the hard way, the first couple of videos we did, that anything you comment is going to be lost when I hit the exit button. So please take a second when this is no longer live to comment wellness. I will send you information about when all of these lives are available on YouTube, and I will send you resources for everything that we talk about in our chat today. So say hi, let me know where you're from. I'm wondering if this 10:30 time has been hard for any of you, because I know here on the East Coast, it's a lazy time of the morning, but anybody watching on the West Coast or outside of the nation, this might be a hard time for you. So let me know where you're from. Okay. What do I want to make sure I don't forget? I made some notes here. Oh, see, I would have probably forgotten. I was up early this morning putting the final touches on what needed to be done for my book to be live. And I'm so excited. Today's the day, June 11th, that second Ferment Secrets is live and available. This is a book for anybody who is comfortable with kombucha. You make kombucha, but you need an extra oomph, some extra encouragement in your second ferment, and some great recipes to inspire you to make it more yummy and delicious. So that's what the book is about. And since we've been talking so much about gut health here, it seems very appropriate to tell you guys that. And for launch week, all of this week, use the code 10OFF, 10OFF, to get $10 off the cost of the book, which is kind of crazy, but I wanted to do it. So, but even better, if you've purchased the bundle or you're interested in purchasing the bundle, please send me a screenshot after you've made that purchase of the Natural Health and Wellness bundle we've been talking about this week, because I will send it to you totally free. My new book will be yours free. Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to tell you. So the 2 things that I wanted to talk about, it's kind of sneaky of me because they're kind of the same thing, but they're very different. To help improve our gut health, all things fermented. Fermented drinks. This is my lilac blueberry kombucha that I made a few days ago. Actually, on our last live, I was bottling this. So you can see how to make this and get the recipe over there. And it will also be in the resources if you comment wellness. And this, anybody know what this is? Let me know. You already know it's fermented because I already told you that. You can probably see there's a little garlic in there. It's kind of obvious, right? Maybe the color makes it a little confusing. What do you think? Anybody know what this is? Fermented drinks and fermented foods. What they do for our gut is kind of amazing, especially when you look at how easy they are to make. I mean, it's unbelievable how easy they are. And I know for the longest time, they tripped me up, guys. I thought, first of all, I would hate the taste of it. And second of all, it was going to be way too complicated for me. Like, I am not into complicated in the kitchen. I'm just not. I make a really big mess in the kitchen. But that doesn't mean I like complicated. That just means I can get messy. But I like simple. I really do. And I thought fermented would just be way too complicated. What do you guys think? Have any of you made fermented foods and drinks? What has made you hesitate if you have not made fermented foods or drinks? Let me know. Comment and tell me. And yes, the first guess, S-Dodge got it. Peppers. I was thinking it might be confusing just because they are banana peppers. So they're a kind of a unique yellowy green color. But yes, fermented peppers. So I don't know why I finally broke down and made my first fermented food. I honestly can't remember. I made fermented cauliflower, of all things. How weird am I? Like, I put off something because it seems complicated, and then I like do a weird thing when I do it. I'm just weird. And it was pretty good. I couldn't believe it. It was like, it tasted like pickled cauliflower. And I wound up using it on my salads for a couple weeks. And I really enjoyed it. So I thought, okay, that wasn't hard. And it worked. And I know it's good for me, so maybe I should try some more. So, first thing I want to tell you about fermented food and drinks, they can taste the way you want them to taste. You see, if you've tasted other people's kombucha, or maybe kombucha that you bought at the store, and you're like, it's way too vinegary, yuck, who can drink vinegar? I agree with you. I am so on the same train as you are. But if you make it yourself, you have total control over the process. And as long as you know the tips and tricks to doing the fermentation correctly, by the way, I have lots of resources for you for all things fermented. Over on the blog, I will send you resources. If you comment wellness when this is over, I'll send you all the resources I have written about fermentation and my recipes. But as long as you know the right tips and tricks, and Kombucha Academy walks you through, holds you like by the hand, you join me in my kitchen and I walk you through how to make kombucha. So there's no mess ups, there's no questions, you know it. Once you know it, you can make the final taste exactly the way you want it. You can start testing it every day for the taste. And once it reaches the level of, for the food, saltiness, or for the drink, vinegary or not vinegary enough, whatever the case might be, then you stop the fermentation. And you do that simply by putting it in cold. So that's the only negative I will tell you when it comes to fermented food. There is a negative that it does take up refrigerator space. Now, if you're going to just make enough to use it within a week or so, you might not need to put it in the fridge at all. Once it tastes well, you can still keep eating it from its space there on the counter, or drinking it if it's kombucha. And by the end of that week, it probably is not going to alter the taste very much, and you'll enjoy it, and that's fine. But if you want to keep it for longer than that, and you don't want it to get too salty or too vinegary, then you're going to need to refrigerate it. Libby Bold says, I've been trying, beef kavas. Beef kavas. I said beef, didn't I? Most of the time, I get mold on top. Well, you know what? Research it. I have not made fermented beets. I haven't done that. But all fermented food, if it's fermenting well, will most likely develop what's called a KAM yeast, K-H-A-M. Did I spell that right? I'm not sure if I spelled that right. KAM yeast. And it's a good thing. It is an outward sign that the fermentation is doing well. If you wind up eating that yeast on top, it's not going to hurt you in any way, but it does taste, I would define it as bitter. I'm not crazy about the taste of it, so I will scrape off that yeast and give it to the chickens. You can just throw it away or put it in your compost pile before I eat what's on top of my fermented food. So I wonder if possibly, to be bold, that might be what you're experiencing, especially if it's happened multiple times. So I don't know, research that. Like I said, I'm not an expert with beets, but so anyway, that's the only negative as far as refrigerator space, because we jam a lot of leftovers in our refrigerator, and often, 100% of the time, there really isn't room for more stuff in my refrigerator. But that's partly because of my fermented foods. The kids kind of get irritated sometimes that I have all my jars of fermented food. They're not big fans. A few of them will eat it. And I think, honestly, they're like I used to be. I don't think it's even that they don't like the taste. It's just they think it's weird. They're like, why would you want to do that? I don't know. But once you start eating it, you love it. You crave it. And it's so easy to add this good bacteria to your gut. How can I use my SCOBY? What's left over? Like, because the second SCOBY will form often. I feed mine to the chickens. They love it. The dogs also like it on top of their food. It's a really good load of bacteria for all the animals. Any animal, you might want to toss it on their food. It's also good for fertilizer for the garden. And you could use it to make SCOBY candy. I've never done that with the added new growth SCOBY because there isn't much of it and it's a different texture. I do make SCOBY candy with my actual leftover SCOBY that grows in my kombucha. Apple cider vinegar SCOBY. Oh, apple cider vinegar SCOBY. Yes, same thing I said. Sorry, you did have initials there, didn't you, before the word SCOBY? Yes, you can use that in all those same ways. Okay, so what else do I want? Oh, when you're making these ferments, what's happening? You're gathering in bacteria from the air. So you're leaving your food or your drinks open to the air. You're putting some kind of a covering over it. You're welcome, Tammy. That allows the good stuff to come in, and the bad stuff will come in too. I should say that. All the bacteria in the air can get into your open container. You have a towel over it so that bugs can't get in, especially fruit flies, because they will love to lay their eggs in your fermented food or drink. Not a good situation. So you have to put some sort of a towel to keep that from happening. But the reason it doesn't matter that the bad bacteria can get in is because of your culture that you're growing, because of the salt that you're using in your food. By the way, it's important to use the right salt. So definitely check out my resources and make sure you're using the best and the right salt. If you used iodized salt, it could really mess up your ferment. And your SCOBY and the kombucha. They are the live cultures that are they're not allowing the bad bacteria to live in that environment because it's an acidic environment. So what are you doing? You're capturing all the good bacteria with your food right here. And it's soaking in all that good bacteria. And then you're putting these peppers on your salad for dinner, and you're feeding your gut all that good bacteria that's been collected. And with the SCOBY or with the kombucha, I do a continuous brew, and I have that good stuff always just adding and adding and adding and adding inside of my continuous brew vessel. So there's so much richness in here. You can see at the bottom, you can actually see some of the yeast there. That's blueberries, but you can see that film right there. That's the yeast that is forming, because when the bacteria eat the sugar, the byproduct is the yeast. And that yeast is so good for our guts. Now, I will say for women, if you have trouble with a yeast infection, I had a friend that actually had to stop drinking kombucha because she thought it gave her a yeast infection. I personally would like to have known more about, what was going on in her environment and what she was doing and what she was eating. Because for me, it had the exact opposite effect, to the point of I saw many experts, couldn't get rid of the yeast infection, worked on my diet, did everything, just couldn't get rid of it. And I just thought I was going to have to live with it. And I'm not kidding. For over a decade, I just lived with it, lived with the itchy irritation. It was just part of life. Started drinking kombucha. I was blown away. It was probably it took a little while. I bet you it was 4 or 5 months after I started drinking some of it daily. And I realized, wait a minute, that infection's gone. I don't know when it ended. I don't know when it stopped, but it's gone. And for a short while, I took a break from drinking kombucha, and I kid you not, it came back. I think I took a 3-month break. So I don't know how long it would take either way to help or not help with that situation, but I don't know why. I'm not a scientist. But for some reason, the yeast, the natural probiotic yeast that builds up in kombucha, has the effect of actually fighting a yeast infection. I don't know why. It seems counterintuitive, right? I found it personally. So anyway, what else did I want to tell you? I think that's really what I wanted you to understand. We've talked this week about gut health and how there's such a diverse microbiome in our gut of good and bad bacteria. And they're both important. They both play a role. But it's very common in our current society of stress, not enough sleep, overworking, too much antibiotics as medicine, too much antibacterial soaps and lotions and all that. All of that is killing the good bacteria in our gut, and the bad bacteria is thriving. And that leads to the inflammation, all the health issues we talked about in previous lives here. And what we can do is even out that microbiome, feed back the good stuff. you really can't have too much good stuff. You really can't. There's always going to be bad stuff in there. It's just the way it is living as a human. We're going to have not good bacteria inside of our intestines. It's just the way it is. But we can do something about it by putting in the good stuff and giving our gut an ability to fight the bad stuff. So it's going to fight off the inflammation. It's going to keep us healthy. I did write down a few results of a healthy gut that I don't think we've mentioned. We've talked about a lot, but I don't think we mentioned some of these. Better mood. It sounds crazy, but it's true. When your overall gut is healthier, it impacts your mood. And this one I think is interesting, especially because so many people are worried with kombucha about the sugar content. First of all, the SCOBY is eating the sugar. That is food for your culture. So in the end, you don't have a lot of sugar, although I often will add some sort of a flavor with some sweetener to my second ferment. But even so, the good culture and bacteria of the SCOBY and of the kombucha actually helps control your blood sugar level, which seems, again, counterintuitive, but it's amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing. And it helps lower our allergy problems. It's huge allergy season right now here in New Hampshire. By the way, did you notice my New England attire? This is life on a New England morning. I thought about changing and instead I just grabbed the earrings. But this is it. I woke up, pulled on my shorts, but I also needed my sweatshirt because it's still a little chilly. But it's allergy season big time. If I took the camera off and took you around the porch, I could show you the pollen because we have screens on and pollen has come through and it's laying, it needs to all be cleaned. It's bad allergy season here. But drinking kombucha helps fight allergies. So much better than taking a pill every day to do that. You can drink some kombucha every day to also have the same impact. And it improves your immune function. So it's going to help you fight off the germs, the colds. Getting a cold this time of year is like the worst. So I love it that kombucha helps with that. Okay, that's my list I wanted to go over. I showed you my show and tell, and I want to make sure that you know Kombucha Academy, which runs you through everything you need to know to be an expert. I mean, you will be off and running. There's even a module called Quick Start. You will be off and running within days making your own kombucha. It is included in the Natural Health and Healing Bundle. I couldn't offer it to you for $50. There's so much there. But when I heard about this bundle, I was very happy to join forces with 150 experts in their fields and make all of these available to you. That's how important it was to me that I wanted to put this in there because I wanted you guys to have access to all of these resources that are going to help you with your natural health and healing process. It's amazing. I've barely touched the surface. I've tried to go through it because I wanted to tell you about all the goodness in there, but it's been a busy week and I've barely touched the surface. But what I have seen has been amazing. There's high protein recipes. That's something I'm going to dive into more because I really want to increase my protein levels daily. There's meal plans. Dr. Michelle, when she was on last week, her Real Foods for Real Family masterclass is amazing. And it's loaded with meal plans and shopping lists and all kinds of inspiration. It's a really great thing. Oh, and Amber Benge, I've looked at her resource. It's called The Old Ways, and it's all about herbalism. And like amazing the way that God created the plants that we can take from our yards, from our fields, and how we can use them medicinally. I've been telling you guys about some of these things for years, but Amber's book goes into such detail. And I was going through it the other night going, oh, I didn't know that about coneflower, and going through it some more. I didn't know that, and I was just, so I've already downloaded it and saved it to my drive. You can do that with all the books in this bundle. You can download them and have them forever. And all of the courses, you can download your access information and be able to access them forever. So it's just unheard of. So I wanted to make sure before we ended this week to let you know. Go check it out, comment wellness when this video is over, and I will send you all the information about this bundle so you can check it out. It's only available until midnight on Wednesday. So not even 2 more days, like a day and a half. But Kombucha Academy is in there, free. Part of that, well, if you add them all up, if you do the math, I told you guys, it's 33 cents a resource. So you're getting Kombucha Academy for 33 cents, and I will send you Second Ferment Secrets, the new book that's out today, for free. Well, I hope this has been inspiring and encouraging to you. I hope that telling you a little bit about my journey has encouraged you to know that all of us have been at all the different stages of this journey, and I'm still working at it. I'm still learning things. I still have things to improve, like the amount of protein I'm eating per day. So, but getting together like this and chatting, I think it helps all of us to encourage us that we can do this. And there are resources out there, and we can share those resources with each other. So I hope that has been what you've gleaned from this week. Nocton4 says, oh, I've come in right at the moment, type 2 diabetic. Should I drink kombucha? I just got a SCOBY. Oh, good. So you came in right at the right moment. That, yes, it is. It actually helps sugar levels, which is crazy. So I'm glad you came in for that. I, of course, am not offering you medical advice. Oh, absolutely talk to your doctor. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors don't understand a lot of things about natural health. So sometimes you might have to find like a more natural doctor, but absolutely find a doctor and talk to them about it. Tammy says, so the last year that I have been eating more clean, good for you, making my own dill pickles. Yay, pickles are hard. I've canned a lot of pickles, and I have never canned a batch that I would say is absolutely perfect. They're not easy, but you know what? I will add to my resources I'm sending you guys after this live, my recipe for dill pickles, because I do have a recipe for crisp dill pickles. Okay, back to what Tammy said. Drinking my own homemade kombucha, I love that. I have omitted one antacid peel that I have been on for 12 years. Oh, a pill, it must be. And 2 inhalers. Oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. So basically canning some of your own veggies and drinking fermented drink is pretty much what you've done to change. Like that's been the main things you've done, Tammy. That's amazing that you've been able to get rid of your inhaler and your medicine. I absolutely love hearing stories like that. I'm not kidding. And that's why I love this natural health and healing bundle, that it puts these resources at our fingertips. You can go through it at your leisure. You don't have to feel overwhelmed that it's too much. Go through it when you have the time, especially if you're ready to go to the doctor and you want to ask them about, well, I have type 2 diabetes, but I want to take kombucha. Go loaded with your resources that you've read through in this bundle and talk to them about what you found in there. Tammy also says, I was in the hospital last month, was on IV by mouth antibiotics for 4 weeks and never got a yeast infection. I always have gotten yeast infections. That's interesting. And it's only been a year now that you've been drinking kombucha. Like I said, I found that 3 months for sure was a window for me that it was making a big difference. So that's amazing. That's fantastic, Tammy. I love both of your stories. Zamlove says, yes, so encouraging. Thank you so much. Oh, good. I'm glad that you found this week encouraging. Rachel says, thank you. You are very welcome, Rachel. I am glad that you joined in. Okay, be sure to comment wellness. I see some of you have already commented it. If you're live and you commented it, please come back and comment it after this post, because all of these comments, unfortunately, will not be here. Because I do want to send you all the resources that we mentioned today. In fact, all the resources for this week. And then you'll be getting an email, hopefully within a few days, definitely within a week or so, explaining how you can access all of these videos over on YouTube. So that's it, guys. Thanks for joining me. It's been a lot of fun.